You got your check-in next week. So again, we got those topics. Go ahead and try that one. The city has a current population of 55 of 2% each year. What's the approximate predicted population after 7 years? I think I got it. Yeah, 63,178. We got population growing at a percentage. That's an exponential function. So the first thing you want, you gotta get the function. We start with our initial value, which is the 55,000. So we got our 55,000. It's an increase of 2%, so we add it to 100. That makes 102. Change it to a decimal. So we got 1.02. If we were going to graph it, our exponent would be x. I don't even need to graph it. I need 7 years. So I put a 7 there as my exponent. To me, that was quicker with the yellow calculators than on Desmos. And that gives you, that's 63,178. Any questions on that? I just need to get the basic equation for or the function for it. James has 32.50 in coins. Some of the coins are quarters, the rest are dimes. James has 18 fewer dimes than quarters. How many quarters does he have? Aiden, what you got? 98 is correct. So you need to get your two equations. We got 3250 with quarters and dimes. So we got 0.25 with quarters, 0.10 with our dimes. equals our 3250. 18 fewer dimes than quarters. So you could write that a few different ways. Quarters minus 18 equals dimes. Dimes plus 18 equals quarters. Quarters minus dimes equals 18. And I said a few different ways you could write it. And then you're just looking for where they intersect. If you're putting that in Desmos, so just remember you got to use X's and Y's. Can't use Q and D. And then you got to keep track which one's which because it's only asking for the one. In this case, there were 98 quarters and 80 dimes. Any questions on that? If you really want it, you could always kind of take that first equation and just plug in the numbers that fit or that work until you get one that gives you 3250. That sometimes will take. That's an option as well. With Desmos, getting the two equations and find where they cross goes a lot. It's got h of x and f of x. We need to know which one of those answer choices. G of x is equal to f of x times h of x. The dotted lines around the things don't mean anything in terms of the problem. Just when I printed it to a PDF, for some reason, some of the equations and things like that have dotted lines around it. Technical issue, not anything mathematical. Oliver? A is correct. All right, so we're multiplying. We got to multiply this whole thing times this whole thing. We're multiplying the whole thing. Basically what we're doing is we're putting it in parentheses. And that means we got FOIL. So we take our first terms, so 2x times x. That's 2x squared. That is not helpful at all. We've got our outside terms, so 2x times minus 5. That makes a minus 10x. Still doesn't fully give us anything, but we got then our inside terms, the minus 3 times the x, minus 3x. So when you combine those, that gives you a minus 13x. Right away, that gives you that the answer is A. If I kept going, my last terms, minus 3 minus 5 makes a plus 15, and that still works with A. Just got to be careful with your signs on that. So you can see problems like that where it'll give you two functions, where it might make you FOIL, multiply them out. It could also give you like two full-on quadratics and make you either add or subtract them to combine them. So that kind of common that way. So, any questions on that? What type idea? We know the one that has a y-intercept of 2. All right, Scott. Aaron? All right, so if we've got our two parentheses like that, when we FOIL them, we're going to make a quadratic function. So we'd have our ax squared plus bx plus c. What part of that's the y-intercept? C. So we're looking for a c value of 2. Y'all, if we go back and think about like the last one, when we FOIL, that's going to be the last terms, right? So all we have to look at are the last terms when we multiply them. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 1, 1. 5 times negative 2, that's negative 10. Negative 3 times 2, that's negative 6. A is the one that has a y-intercept of 2. Other option, you could go ahead, you could graph each of those, but that seems like, I think that would take a little bit longer in this case. And odds are good, a question like this would probably be more likely to be on the inactive than the calculator active. Same question, could ask you about the x-intercepts or the zeros. If we're the x-intercepts, the parentheses make them 0. It's like a would be a negative 2/3 and a negative 1. So we need the distance between these two y-intercepts. All right, your y-intercept is when the x value is 0. There's the y-intercept for the table. All right, that one's easy. Now the part some of y'all were messing up is you were thinking that's your y-intercept right there. That is not. When you look at that function there, x is an exponent. If I put 0 there, that'd be 4 to the 0 power plus 6. Some of y'all didn't remember your 6th grade math. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So that makes that 1 plus 6. That makes the y-intercept of f of x 7. So the distance between the two is going to be 4. Everybody got it? Other option with a calculator, the function as well, and do it that way. Any questions on that one? Need the domain likes rock. He throws a rock at that quadratic function there. It's in the air for x seconds. Domain are the possible x values. Range are the possible y values. This one's asking about domain. X is time, so we can't have negative time, so that's why it's got to start at 0. And then it goes until it hits the ground. And in the case of this quadratic, it's hitting the ground at 9 seconds. Any questions on that one?